Welcome to the MindShift Show. I am your host, Pamela Bloomfield, your certified transformational life coach, published author, and educator. And today we're having one of those conversations that I know is going to stay with you for a very long time after this episode ends. My guest today is Lindsay Friedman, a woman who built companies, led teams, and checked every box that success told her to check. And then one day she stopped proving and started listening. Lindsay is a four-time startup founder and former caregiver whose work is rooted in lived experience. Her journey began hands-on as a nursing assistant in memory care, assisted living, hospice, and nursing homes, before a pivotal realization forced her to rethink her original path. Now, life would ask her to recalibrate again in profound ways through a major injury that made her the one needing care, and later as a cross-generational caregiver, supporting her grandmother, parents, and chronically ill daughter. Rather than letting those moments define her limits, she allowed them to redefine her direction, becoming a published author and founding Care Bloom and LTC Care Nav, platforms designed to help families navigate care with clarity and dignity. Her story is a powerful example of what can happen when experience becomes expertise and when recalibration becomes a catalyst and not a setback. Lindsay Friedman, welcome to the MindShift Show, turning mindsets into I can. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me and for that fantastic introduction.
You are so welcome. So, we've had a couple of conversations before, and it was so impactful just to hear how you were able to shift from proving to being. So, before we dive in, I just want to ask you one thing. Tell us who you are in your own words, not your title or not your resume, just who is Lindsay?
I think the best word is caregiver because it can take so many dynamics in just like every aspect of my life. I That is something that I've truly embraced with my family, that kind of role with the people who need the care in my family, the people who don't, I still care for them.
Mhm.
And in general, with every human being. Like I genuinely care and I want to be able to give something to everybody. And so caregiver would be the word that I would say embodies who I am.
Right. And I love that. And I want to go somewhere with you today that I think is going to resonate deeply with every woman listening. Because, Lindsay, you've spent years building from a place of proving. And we talked about that before. And I think that so many of our listeners know exactly what that feels like, even if they've not or if they've never really named it or said it out loud. So let's identify it together. Let's call it what it was. So if you were to take me back to the version of Lindsay who was building from proof, what did she believe about herself? And what success had to look like for you?
So I think to really dive into that is like you and I've talked, I've had failures, like, right? Failures that you learn to grow from. And those really help shape what you're going to do next. So while failures may hurt in the moment, there's a lot to learn from them. And what I learned was if you are going to build something
Mm-hmm.
and your motivation isn't pure, you're really going to have a lot to prove.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like my two startups, that was a big thing. I didn't, it wasn't, there were things I cared about. I thought I saw a problem. I thought I saw a way to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I really tried to prove what I was doing. And it did not turn out the way I had hoped, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus my two companies now are in the space of caregiving and long-term care, which is my truth, is my belief, is what is at my core.
Mm-hmm.
And building from that place of who I am, of what I believe, not what I have to prove, really changed not what I built, but the success that I was able to have.
I love that. I love that. What would you say was the cost of living in that proving mode? In your body, in your spirit. What was it doing to you internally, even when things looked good on the outside?
So I think during that time, I was also very young. And I think early on, like until you get like kicked in the teeth a little, right? Like you're building from a place of ego, and
Right.
I'm gonna do this. And in really getting knocked down at the moment, I think put a lot of the first time of self-doubt into me, right? Like I started questioning what I was doing and questioning
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I don't think that's always a bad thing. I think self-doubt doesn't make us feel good. It makes us uncomfortable. We have to sit in it and really evaluate. And because my second one wasn't so successful either, there was a lot to like stew in. And sometimes in the moment, if you can accept what you're learning from yourself and have really candid conversations, there's so much growth that can happen. So the discomfort of proving and not being successful really kind of, I think, helped shape who I am and how I approach things
Mm-hmm.
from more of a heart center. Like I can evaluate these things, I can sit in some discomfort. And I think I really learned a lot from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When did you actually first identify that something wasn't working in you,
In
not
me.
necessarily in
Okay.
your business, in you?
Um,
Okay. Uh-huh.
I think that what I identified really didn't come until later when I realized what my passion was. As you had said, I started off early with caregiving, and I really thought that was going to be my whole world. And it was just that something, it was really because I started nursing school because I thought that would be where I would land. Turns out blood grosses me out. Wasn't a good place. And um and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna pivot. And I pivoted out of things that I cared about. And what I had to learn about myself was if I don't follow the things I care about, I'm probably not going to be successful. And I am like the person ever since I was young, I love elders.
Ah.
It's like it's a deep thing. Like, they're like people who are like, oh, look at the baby. The baby's so cute. And babies are so cute, so don't get me wrong. But like if you give me the choice of your baby or your grandma, I'm taking your grandma. Like I'm gonna hang out with grandma. And I think really knowing that about myself and really bringing that back into like what matters
Mm-hmm.
was a shift. When I started caring for my grandma, it was like this light bulb of like, this is who you are. This is what you're meant to do. And this is where you should live. This is where you need to be.
Yeah, yeah. That moment of identification,
Yeah.
right? The moment when you can finally name what's been happening. And this is where I usually say to women, this is where everything begins to shift. Once you can start naming, put your finger on that particular spot and say, okay, this is not working, but this is where I need to be. because it actually comes from the inside out, right?
Absolutely.
And yours, and when we had our conversation before this, yours came in a way, and was also in your bio. Yours came in a way that I think was so powerful because it was internal, but you wanted to explore that with you.
Yes.
You said that you stopped believing you needed the perfect plan or the perfect confidence to take you forward, to move forward. What happened that cracked that open for you? What was the defining moment, I would say? Was it like a slow unraveling? I know you talked about it, but was it slow?
Everything has been slow for me. I kind I'm methodical. I like to think things
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And like with self-doubt, right? Like you have to ask yourself 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think for me that kind of switch inside of myself was gradual and
Mm-hmm.
really had to analyze who I was, who I wanted to be. And I do think that I think when you make changes quickly, I think if you're like a light switch and you're like on off, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you turn it on, you can turn it off as quickly. So really growing into your comfort and what you want and growing out of discomfort, I think really helps people shape deeply. It's like a deeper
Mm-hmm.
mold inside yourself.
Mm-hmm. So then you shifted from designing your life for people to building with them. So you
Yep.
became the caregiver and you started building with them to help, not only to help you, but also to help them. Because I'm sure for your clients, it was just as fog as it was for them as it was for you, right? So you
Yes,
help them with clarity.
absolutely. And so that was one thing I saw is, when you become a family caregiver, and it's becoming more and more prevalent, right? We've got the
Mm,
sandwich generation, we've got
mm,
10,000 people turning 65 every day, 70% of them needing care, right?
mhm,
So it is a community that I feel like if you are a family caregiver, find a way to like band together. But I, having had the professional experience and being able to circle back to a great network,
mhm,
really understood deeply and personally what families were struggling with
mhm,
in many layers. And the truth is, family caregiving is not just about these physical days are hard. What am I giving? There
mhm,
are financial decisions, there's family dynamics and being able to experience those and talk through with families, other
mhm,
families, really kind of framed what I wanted to build. I mean, if you read anything on caregiving, you'll see the problems are pretty much like A, B, C, D. And everyone's going to kind of fall through them. And creating solutions where I know that I'm hitting all of those was really important for me personally of what I was
mhm,
going to build. We don't need any more noise. Family caregivers are already stressed and in making 100 decisions a day, like making another one or trying to navigate through what is right or wrong or the information. I wanted to make it really simple for families because that's
mhm,
what I needed.
mhm.
And so it was really a big thing for me.
Yeah, and you mentioned that self-doubt quieted when you stopped proving, right?
Absolutely.
What did what did that clarify, or that clarity, I should say, feel like after so many years of the noise you talked about? What did it feel like for you?
Yeah. And so I first should probably frame it that you and I have talked, like I still have like things that like sit in me and I'm like, oh, should I do that? Should I not do that? Right? Like, and we were even talking like simple things like what I post on Facebook or LinkedIn, like the doubt of like, I don't really want to rock any boats, right? So it's still somewhat there,
Hmm.
but the self-doubt of the decisions I'm making and having it quiet, like I know I'm coming from a place of purity and kindness,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's moving me forward. So to be able to live every day like that, at least I can say to myself when I go to bed at night, I my head is clear, my conscience is clear, right?
Yeah, yeah. And after our last conversation, you made a big move.
I did.
Do you want to share a little bit of that?
Yeah, so you and I talked that for me, being gentle and kind and considerate is really like is at the core of everything I want to do. And sometimes like I think most people have really good intentions, but I told you like somebody posted something on LinkedIn that it was really about I parent my parent now. Right? I think that was what it was. And I was
Mm-hmm.
telling you, I was like, and I really wanted to say, like, I feel like it's a little disrespectful, right? But instead of saying that, I commented on something else, and you encouraged me to like speak the truth. Like, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
coming from a malicious place and wanting to address that. I was coming from a place of having dealt with elders for years
Mm.
and being a parent and having a parent. And anyone who is a parent knows that's not the dynamic that you ever want your children to refer to.
Right.
And so you gave me the nerve after after a lot of coaching. I think we went back and forth like 10 times to actually say like, listen, I love that you're coming from a place of kindness, but I don't think your mom would love that. And I worded it more eloquently. But but you being able to tell me that and know that like my truth in that moment was not coming from a place of ill will. I was not trying to troll the person.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of saying, here's how I think from a place of kindness and considering all parties involved.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad you made that move.
Thank you.
So now tell me, so how did you feel after you did that?
A little nervous because I texted you. I was like, oh, I did it.
So it's this mixed feeling. I love that. It's okay because you know what? Clarity without action is just, it's without action. It's a beautiful thought. But what I love about your story is that you just didn't, you heard what I said and you moved with it, right?
I
You,
did. And you know what? And I really do like I think change in the world. I think the state of the world as we are right now, right? It's going to take our voices. And that's something I'm trying to understand too. If we want to make sure the world's a better place, the people who really have that motivation, if we're standing in a corner hoping somebody else is going to do it for us, right? And
hmm
that's really kind of a place I was living.
hmm
We're going to have to learn to use our voices to stand up for what we believe in, what we think is right, for humanity. And um, and I hope with my little tiny step on LinkedIn for something that was like a little less, that you have sort of, you're giving me the confidence as we grow and coaching me through this ability to take bigger steps that are more profound and impactful.
Yes, it's letting go of what we thought worked to make room for what fits.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing it more and more, and I'm seeing that when you do these things are that may feel uncomfortable, that you know are right, like again, like moving past the discomfort to seeing the end result, and I guess having somebody like you say, "No, you did good," is also helpful. But
Encouragement sweetens labor.
I did. Yeah. So that was helpful and I appreciate it. And maybe I'll have it like keep you informed of all the new big steps I want to take so you can go,
I
yeah,
can't
do
wait to
it.
hear. Can't wait to hear. Oh my goodness. I'm enjoying the conversation. Now, I want you to speak directly to Lindsay. Lindsay, who's out there, right? To the professional woman over 40, because we know she's out there right now listening to this episode in her car or maybe in her kitchen or somewhere on her lunch break, in her earbuds while she folds the laundry. She's accomplished, she's capable, and she's exhausted for proving. Right? Now, if that woman, successful on paper but empty on the inside, is listening right now, Lindsay, what is the story she needs to hear from you today?
That if you are empty on the inside and successful on the outside, I would reevaluate your definition of success because the outside success you're not going to take it with you. The outside approval only goes so far. And find what is meaningful to you. Find what brings you peace or fulfillment because when we are juggling a family and a career and all that, sometimes it's not going to be about self-care and me time because sometimes that's impossible. So I'm not saying like find time to do yoga, which my favorite hour of my week is yoga on Sunday. So I agree with that too. But find what fulfills you. And is that a career change? What is it that you need to feel full and warm and happy inside? So when you go to bed, you have some kind of like, because
Hmm.
the truth is, all of our lives at some point are, are going to end,
Yeah.
right? I deal with a lot of elders, so that's part of what we do.
Hmm.
And in those last moments, you're not going to be like, oh, I got a really great promotion. And not that we want to think about the end all the time, but like in those last moments, you're going to think about the time you had with somebody you loved, these great memories. So make sure you're still being fulfilled in some way. So, like, think about what you want to leave, your legacy, what you want to leave behind. Is it just like, look how productive I was?
Hmm.
So, that is what I would say.
I love that. What do you now know about yourself that I think we talked about this. What do you now know about yourself that the younger Lindsay had understood or needed to understand sooner?
I think one of the things that I really know is that one step forward gets you through everything.
Love that.
Um, everybody is going to have hard moments and everybody's going to have great moments. And that phrase, this too shall pass,
Hmm.
applies to the good and the bad.
Hmm. Hmm.
And just remembering, like, if you are sitting in a moment that is uncomfortable and hard, the only way to the other side is through. And so do what you can to face it with as much tenacity and perseverance. If you have to, cry, right? Like take your moments, cry, be angry, and then take a deep breath and be like, okay, I have to get through it. So now I'm going to take the next steps forward.
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. I want to end with this. Finish this sentence for me, for the other Lindsays out there, and for yourself too. The woman I am becoming is.
That's a tough one. Look at that. The woman I'm becoming is the woman that I was meant to be.
Ah, beautiful. Anything else surfacing?
Um, I think really also I was also like, is the role model I want my daughter to have.
Beautiful. Yes. Yes. And I'm sure your daughter has watched you. I remember you said you did that radio show.
Yeah.
And she was watching you and she was so happy and delighted to know that you actually did it. So in her eyes, you moved from proving also to being.
Yeah, I know that one was a big one. Just so like for clarity for people listening, I did a radio show that was live, and I thought that I was probably really boring or uninteresting to her. I gave her the link to listen to it, and I was like, "There's no way she's gonna sit like 3 minutes and be done." And at the end of the show, they were like popping up messages all through the show, and at the end of the show, she put a message up. And it was like, Lindsay, you're so amazing. But I saw her little like Google thing and I saw it was her. And I was like, oh, I'm like, I actually said on the show, I'm like, That's my daughter." I was like, yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, it was a moment because
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's something is when your kids can, not that we need them to be proud of us, right? Or even appreciate what we do, but it meant a lot to see that she was listening to me.
That's so beautiful. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. Ah, Lindsay, I enjoyed having you on the show today. And I'm sure that all the nuggets of wisdom that you shared, that the professional women over 40 who are listening, those are the Lindsays who are listening. They have learned so much from you. Is there something that you'd love to say finally about your experience as a caregiver, what you do, how it's has manifested in your life?
Um, so I think for caregivers who are listening, I know it's really hard. And I know in a lot of cases, people are telling you to do self-care, get help. And I know a lot of cases it's not even possible.
Mm,
And I think all there is to do is know that you're doing something that comes from such a place of love and kindness, and you are giving so much of yourself. So to even just appreciate that, if all you get back is that you can say, I did this for somebody I loved, take that because that is something that you will be able to take with you at those last days that we talked about just a few moments ago.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that right there is the MindShift Show. This was a beautiful conversation between Lindsay Friedman and Pamela Bloomfield. We believe that the shift starts on the inside and everything else will follow. So, Lindsay, from proving to being, from designing for people to believing in them and to building with them, from chasing what looks impressive to trusting what actually matters. That is a mind shift. And so I'm so grateful, Lindsay, that you brought your whole self into this space to that you were able to share such a profound story.
Well, thank you so much for having me and for all that you have done to get me past some of my discomforts and help me shift that as well. So I'm very appreciative to have been able to know you and meet you and have you part of my journey as well.
My pleasure. And to every woman listening, if today's conversation is tugging on you, tugging on something inside you, don't just nod and move on. Take action. First, I want you to take my free clarity audit. It's just 5 honest questions that help you identify exactly what you're doing, exactly where you're stuck, and I personally will respond to every single woman who fills it out. Go to www.coachingyourgrowth.com/audit. That's www.coachingyourgrowth.com/audit. And I want to encourage you to get my book, Speak, Mind, Heart is Listening. And in this book, I walk you through how to speak from your inner truth so your life, your leadership, and your relationship stops running on autopilot. It's available on Amazon right now. And the link, I'll put it in the show notes. Third, I want you to subscribe to the MindShift Show on YouTube. That's where I break down all the conversations into bite-sized teachings and practical tools so that you can come back anytime. Search the MindShift Show, turning mindsets into I Can on YouTube, and hit subscribe. Turn on your notifications and share this episode with a woman in your life who needs to hear everything. I want to invite you also into my Clarity Sprint, which is a private 60 to 75-minute session. Just you and me, where we identify exactly what is holding you back and build your personal 3-step action plan together. You leave with clarity, with direction, and a concrete next step you can take immediately. Go to www.coachingyourgrowth.com to book your clarity sprint. And if anyone ever asks me what I do, I help professional women over 40 who have everything else figured out except themselves, so they can stop performing success, unbury their purpose, and start living it from the inside out. And if that is you, I would love to work with you. Thank you again for listening to the MindShift Show. I am Pamela Bloomfield, and I'll see you next time. Remember, it's not too late. It's not too late. You're not too old. You have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of experience, and your experience is your expertise. I'll see you later.